Caution: federal law restricts this device to sale by or on the order of a physician. For the patient's safety, a trained attendant and a backup means of ventilation should be present at all times. Please note, when using the Companion 2801 in hospitals and clinics, do not use it in the presence of a flammable anesthetic. The information in this presentation is subject to change as new information becomes available. Refer to the operating instruction manual for complete information regarding warnings, cautions, and notes. The Companion 2801 is a microprocessor-controlled portable volume ventilator, which provides positive pressure breathing support for the ventilator-dependent patient, both adult and children. The ventilator is designed to be used with the oxygen accumulator, optional Cascade 1A humidifier, the Companion remote alarm, and the Puritan-Bennett support arms. Puritan-Bennett recommends that its reusable patient breathing circuit be used. The Companion 2801 represents a significant upgrade of the Companion 2800, which has now been successfully used in the United States and in over 26 countries internationally, beginning in 1985. The Companion 2801 weighs 35 pounds and is very compact. It can be operated from its upright position or on its back panel using either AC power or DC battery power. This makes the Companion 2801 extremely versatile, whether for bedside use or transport applications, such as wheelchairs, automobiles, or airplanes. An internal battery provides power for up to 1 hour for short-term transport applications, as well as emergency power supply. The purpose of this video is to familiarize you with the controls and alarm functions of the Companion 2801 volume ventilator. For a more complete description, refer to the operating instruction manual. The AC power switch located on the rear panel must be turned on to charge the internal and external batteries. Note, the Companion 2801 will operate from its internal battery if the AC power switch is off and no external battery is attached. Operating the ventilator directly from its internal battery will result in a continuous audible alarm that latches on and will need to be reset. This alarm is intended to prevent inadvertent use of the internal battery. Each time the ventilator is turned on or the mode switch is set, the Companion 2801 completes a power-on self-test. During this test, the first ventilator breath is vented out the exhalation valve. This venting of the first breath is called initialization, which establishes the volume setting. The power source that is being used to operate the Companion 2801 is identified by one of 3 indicator lights: AC on, external battery, and internal battery. When AC power is turned off or transfers to external or internal battery, the green AC indicator remains on momentarily. If the ventilator is plugged into an AC power outlet and an AC power failure occurs, the ventilator automatically switches to external battery power and an audible alarm sounds and latches on until reset. If an external battery is not connected, the ventilator will switch to internal battery power. If an external battery is connected and its charge is depleted, the same audible alarm sounds and the ventilator will switch to the internal battery. When the Companion 2801 is being powered by the internal battery, a short audible alarm will sound every 4 minutes. If AC power is restored, the ventilator will automatically switch to AC power and the green AC indicator will light and the ventilator will begin charging the internal battery. When the Companion 2801 is powered by an external battery or its internal battery, the low battery alarm will sound, and the low battery indicator will light when the battery in use becomes low. Whenever a low battery alarm is activated, immediately connect the Companion 2801 to an AC outlet. When being powered by AC or external battery, the internal battery is automatically spot tested every 15 minutes for low voltage. If the internal battery is depleted or fails, there will be a continuous audible alarm, but the ventilator will still operate on AC power or external battery. It's important to remember to set and confirm all control settings prior to connecting the patient to the ventilator. Puritan-Bennett recommends using a rubber test lung for this purpose. The mode switch, located in the upper right-hand corner, is the starting point. The first position, no ventilation, is used for shelf storage. This mode removes electrical power from the internal circuits of the ventilator. In this position, as well as all three modes of operation, the internal batteries and external battery, if connected, will be charged as long as the ventilator front panel AC power indicator is on. The ventilator must be plugged in whenever stored, and the AC indicator must be on in order for the internal and external battery to charge. The control mode is for patients that cannot initiate spontaneous breathing. Patient ventilation is initiated by the breaths per minute rate switch, which is adjustable from 1 to 69 breaths per minute. The assist control mode is for patients who are capable of initiating ventilator breaths, but may become too tired to sustain breathing. Now, if the patient fails to initiate a breath, the ventilator automatically reverts to control ventilation and delivers breaths at the set breath rate or until the patient initiates ventilation. The set breath rate guarantees patient ventilation. The SIMV mode, which stands for Synchronous Intermittent Mandatory Ventilation, delivers a breath to the patient on a timed basis. While the patient sustains spontaneous breathing, delivery of ventilator breaths are synchronized with the patient's effort. The volume of air to be delivered during each breath is determined by the volume control. The volume scale provides a general reference for the volume setting. There are two volume knobs. The larger knob, labeled Normal, controls the volume of air to be delivered at each normal ventilator breath. The selected volume can be checked at the ventilator display when switched to the volume position. This information is updated at the end of each ventilator breath. The smaller knob on the volume control, labeled Sigh, determines the volume of air to be delivered when sigh breaths are prescribed. It is usually set about 1.5 times the amount of a normal breath. The sigh volume cannot be set lower than the normal volume setting. The maximum setting is limited to 2 times the normal volume setting, up to 2,800 milliliters. The sigh control is a 3-position rotary switch. In the on position, the companion 2801 delivers 3 consecutive sigh breaths every 10 minutes. The manual setting is spring-loaded and returns to the off position. When held, consecutive sigh breaths will be delivered until released. The indicator light remains on until all sigh breaths have been delivered. Use the sigh switch in the manual position to verify the sigh volume setting. The IE ratio position displays the ratio of time devoted to IE, inspiration and expiration for ventilator-delivered breaths. Sigh breaths will be delivered at the same IE ratio as normal volume breaths. The flow position indicates the average flow achieved during a ventilator-delivered breath. When IE ratio or flow are prescribed, move the switch to the appropriate position and turn the flow control knob to obtain the prescribed setting. The flow control is adjustable from 20 to 120 liters per minute and controls the time required to deliver a ventilator breath. If the flow control is set too low, the indicator will light and a short audible alarm will sound during each breath. When this occurs, the patient may not have adequate time to exhale. To correct this situation, increase the flow control setting to meet the patient's requirements. Note, before adjusting the flow, determine that the prescribed volume and breath rate are correctly set. The breaths per minute control consists of 2 thumb wheels that will adjust the ventilator to deliver from 1 to 69 breaths per minute. The sensitivity control is used for the assist, control, and SIMV modes only. It sets the level of inspiratory effort that the patient must exert in order to initiate a breath. Regardless of its setting, the patient is never locked out from spontaneous breathing. The sensitivity control may be set between the levels of -10 and +10 centimeters of water. Set the sensitivity control slightly to the left of its 0 position. Observe the airway pressure gauge to determine how much patient effort is required to activate the sensitivity indicator. However, if the sensitivity control is set too far to the left, additional patient effort will be required. In the assist control mode, if the sensitivity control is set to the right of 0, the ventilator will auto-cycle. Both the sensitivity and flow control indicators will light, and an audible chirp will be heard each breath. Turn the sensitivity control counterclockwise to the point where autocycling has discontinued. The only time it will be necessary to adjust the sensitivity control to the right of its zero position is to reduce the level of patient effort required when positive end expiratory pressure, PEEP, is prescribed. While in the assist control mode, set the rate control to protect the patient should an apneic condition occur. In the SIMV mode, the companion 2801 is capable of providing backup ventilation if the breath rate is set between 1 and 7. If the patient becomes apneic or the sensitivity setting is not achieved by the patient's effort, the apnea alarm will sound and the apnea indicator will light. Within another 30 seconds, if the patient does not take a breath canceling the apnea alarm, the companion 2801 will provide the patient with backup ventilation at a rate of 12 breaths per minute. If the alarm condition is no longer active, this indicator is latched on until manually reset. During backup ventilation, the apnea alarm will continue to sound until either one of two conditions occur. First, if the patient initiates 2 breath efforts within a 10-second period, the apnea alarm will automatically be silenced, and the companion 2801 will automatically transfer from backup to the SIMV mode. Second, by rotating the mode control out of and then back to the SIMV mode. This will be followed by initialization, and the companion 2801 will function in the SIMV mode. In the SIMV mode, at settings of 8 or above, if the patient becomes apneic, no audible alarm will sound, but the indicator will flash and the patient will be ventilated at the set breath rate. Next is the pressure limit control. This control limits the maximum amount of pressure that can be delivered to the patient and is adjustable between 10 and 100 centimeters of water. Turn the pressure limit control clockwise to its maximum setting until resistance to turning the knob is felt. Set the high pressure alarm to 100 centimeters of water. Then, block off the tubing at the patient connection and verify the maximum pressure of approximately 100 centimeters of water. When a specific pressure limit is prescribed, turn the pressure limit control counterclockwise to achieve the prescribed pressure limit setting. Any excess pressure above the pressure limit setting is vented at a port on the rear panel. The low pressure alarm is adjustable between the range of 2 and 32 centimeters of water. The low pressure alarm should be set below the maximum airway pressure, so that if a disconnect of the patient's circuit occurs, the low pressure alarm will be activated. In the control or assist control modes of ventilation, if airway pressure remains below the low pressure alarm setting for 15 seconds or 2 breath periods, an audible alarm will sound and the indicator will light. To avoid nuisance low pressure alarming in the SIMV mode, 2 breath periods are required to activate the low pressure alarm. When the alarm condition is corrected, the indicator is latched on until manually reset by the alarm silence button. The high pressure alarm is adjustable between 25 and 100 centimeters of water. When setting the high pressure alarm, select a setting between the observed maximum airway pressure during inspiration and the pressure limit control setting. When psi is prescribed, set the high pressure alarm using the psi control in the manual position. If airway pressure reaches the alarm setting, an alarm sounds and the high pressure indicator will light and airway pressure will be automatically vented at the patient exhalation valve. When the alarm condition is no longer active, this indicator is latched on until manually reset by the alarm silence button. Setting the high pressure alarm above the pressure limit control setting will not allow the high pressure alarm to sound. This should only be done when prescribed and when the patient is continuously monitored by a trained attendant. In any mode of ventilation, if airway pressure during inspiration remains above the low pressure alarm setting for 15 seconds, the apnea alarm will sound and the apnea indicator will light. The exhalation diaphragm valve will be vented, permitting the patient to exhale. Note, when PEEP is prescribed, set the low pressure alarm above the PEEP pressure setting. The apnea and the low pressure alarms may be silenced for 60 seconds by pressing the silence button. When silenced, the apnea and low pressure indicators will remain on. To reset the alarm before the 60-second silence period has elapsed, Press the alarm silence button for approximately 3 seconds. For patient safety, the high-pressure alarm can never be silenced. While operating on battery power and no alarms other than low battery are active, the battery test function can be performed. Pressing the battery test button for 3 seconds will allow the battery in use to be checked. The airway pressure gauge provides a scale to measure the battery charge level. Releasing the button will discontinue the test. In addition, during the battery test, the software activates the audible alarms and visual indicators as well as all segments of the ventilator display. To help prevent accidental changes to control settings and to protect the control panel, a clear Lexan cover is provided. The cover can be quickly removed from its Velcro-type fastener for access to the controls. Before connecting the ventilator to a patient, always confirm the reliability of the power source. The AC power module is located on the rear panel. Next to the AC power switch is the line voltage selector and the AC line fuses. The AC power cord is detachable from the unit. However, latching connectors have been added to avoid accidental disconnect. An external battery cable is connected to the ventilator using the two-prong twist lock socket. Also housed on the back panel is the remote alarm socket. The companion remote alarm provides the same audible alarms as the ventilator and may be placed in remote locations. The hour meter shows hours of use. This is used to determine when the 6,000-hour periodic maintenance is required. 4 brackets on the back serve as a cord wrap and as a means of support when the ventilator is operating on the rear panel. These ports function as ventilation for the internal cabinet, for reference of atmospheric pressure, to vent the exhalation diaphragm valve, and to vent excess pressure when the pressure limit control is being used. Finally, it is important that the ventilator and accessories be cleaned and maintained. For more details, reference should be made to the operating instruction manual. This completes the review of the Companion 2801.